Welcome to this explainer where we are diving into what might just be the ultimate superpower. I mean, picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning and you realize that every single memory you've ever made is perfectly clear, hyper-detailed, and instantly accessible. You're literally a walking, breathing archive. You know, we usually take memory for granted, mostly because it's invisible when it's working right. But it's the absolute foundation of our identity, how we learn, and our relationships. So today, we're going to break down the incredible highs and, honestly, the terrifying lows of what would happen if perfect recall wasn't just some cool parlor trick, but a fundamental human trait.
So what if you never forgot anything? Think about the daily frustrations we could just completely bypass. I mean, think about how much time and energy we waste simply trying to retrieve lost information. No more tearing the house upside down, struggling to remember where you left your keys. No more staring blankly at a coworker, desperately trying to recall exactly what they said in that meeting last week, or racking your brain for the main takeaway of a book you read years ago.
Think about the absolute joy of this. No lost passwords. Ever. No more of that frozen panic when you run into someone at the grocery store and realize you have totally blanked on their name. We're talking about a life completely free of those tiny, everyday annoyances. Your brain basically becomes an infallible search engine.
And for anyone who's ever pulled a stressful all-nighter cramming for an exam, this is the ultimate fantasy, right? You'd essentially be a living archive. You could learn way faster and recall absolutely anything flawlessly. Languages, complex math equations, massive historical timelines, intricate music sheets, even unwritten social rules. They'd all just become effortlessly easy to store and pull up whenever you need them. You would literally never fail a test again, because the information would always just be sitting right there, waiting for you.
Section 1. Society Rewired. Civilization Shifts.
So if everyone suddenly has this ability, every single institution completely transforms from the inside out. Take schooling, for example. The old school system of rote memorization, utterly trivial. The new system becomes brilliantly simple. Step 1, you encounter the information. Step 2, you retain it forever. Which means step 3, the true challenge instantly shifts entirely to analysis and creativity.
And it all really comes down to this number right here, 1. That is the exact number of times you need to read a dense 500-page textbook or sit through a complex hour-long lecture to keep it locked in your brain forever. Imagine looking at a complicated mathematical formula exactly once and having it ready to go for the rest of your life. We'd be creating a generation of learners who move through knowledge at a speed we can barely even comprehend today.
Now, this perfect pattern recognition wouldn't just stay in schools. It sweeps across all major fields. A doctor would recall every single rare case they've ever seen. An athlete remembers every tiny muscle response. But consider the business world for a second. Unmatched recall creates brilliant, hyper-efficient planning, sure, but it also creates unforgiving, vindictive leaders who literally never forget a past betrayal or a careless mistake. We're looking at a society of extreme efficiency, but with absolutely zero mercy.
And this brings us right to the legal world, which faces a massive dilemma. You see, even with a flawless memory, human beings just aren't cameras. We don't objectively store data. We assign meaning to it. Disagreements wouldn't miraculously disappear. Actually, scratch that. They might even get worse. They'd just be fueled by massive amounts of permanent, highly detailed evidence, all completely colored by our own personal biases and interpretations.
Section 2. The Heavy Burden. Trapped by the Past.
Now, a perfect mind sounds like an absolute dream, right? Until we stop and ask ourselves, would this actually make us wiser, or would it leave us completely unable to escape our own past? The crucial paradox here is that humans remember feelings, not just cold, hard facts. On one hand, a supermemory preserves truth and beauty. You'd never ever forget the exact face of someone you loved or the specific details of your most cherished moments. But on the flip side, it preserves pain and trauma with that exact same brutal clarity. You would remember every painful insult, every profound loss, and every single moment of awkward, stomach-churning humiliation exactly as if it just happened yesterday.
Think about how this works right now. With normal memory, the emotional intensity of an event naturally fades over time. The sharp edges soften. But with a supermemory, that intensity remains stuck at the absolute maximum. Without those fading edges we rely on, the emotional weight of heartbreak, shame, and intense grief remains just as brutal and unbearable decades later as it was on day one.
Plus, think about the sheer mental clutter. Your mind isn't an infinite hard drive. Imagine holding on to every road sign you pass, every random sound, every tiny irritation, every emotional wound, every unfinished thought, every fake smile, and every single mistake you have ever made.
The exhaustion of infinite recall would require extreme mental hygiene just to survive a totally normal Tuesday. Section 3. Identity and Connection. Shared History.
You know, a huge part of human identity is the story we tell about ourselves. So who are you if you remember absolutely everything? Consider the lifespan of a hurt. A harsh criticism at age 10 doesn't fade away. By age 20, it's an unfading scar, and by 40, it's still a heavy weight controlling your adult life. If you remember every past version of yourself vividly, you risk becoming completely trapped by older, younger versions of yourself.
And this profoundly impacts our relationships. Sure, intimacy might deepen through a flawlessly shared history, like never forgetting an anniversary or an inside joke. But as the saying goes, when every mistake is remembered with perfect clarity, forgiveness becomes harder. The inability to just let go of conflict totally raises the stakes of every human connection. Every argument is logged permanently. Grudges could literally last forever.
Section 4. The Mercy of Forgetting. Imperfect Storage.
This brings us to a really profound philosophical truth. Why did evolution give us an imperfect system in the first place? Well, because forgetting is not a flaw in human design. It's actually a critical survival mechanism. It is a vital mental filter that softens the past so we can keep living, prioritize what actually matters, heal, and move forward. Sometimes, forgetting is a necessary mercy.
A brain that remembers enough, but not everything, is what truly allows us to adapt and grow. The mind is indeed a grand library, but every library fundamentally needs a system for choosing what to keep on the front shelf and what to tuck away in the back. Otherwise, knowledge just becomes noise. So I want to leave you with this thought. If you had perfect recall, but you had to curate your own front shelf, what single memory would you choose to keep right there at the front of your mind?